Hi everyone. Hello, hello. Hello. Hi everyone. Come in, come in, come in. Our guest couple are here. Hello. Hey Amy, I just approved it. I saw your request.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You're quite welcome.
We're so excited. How's your day?
So far, so good. It's been a beautiful day today. It's been cold the past 2 days and rainy, but today has been amazing. So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah.
I know when I talked to you earlier, you said it was such a beautiful day outside.
Yeah. And then my mood is so impacted by the weather. Like, I am such a sunshine girl that, like, I thrive when it's sunny and warm.
Me too. Me too. I feel you. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Yes, Amy and Johnny are our favorite couple from Love is Blind.
That's right.
So you've got a lot of fans here tonight, and we're so privileged and humbled that you honored our request to be on our show tonight. We're going to be asking you guys some questions and just following up on how life has been. We're Doctors Femi and Bola, and our mission, our goal is really to showcase godly, healthy, and happy marriages, which we feel like you guys are. So,
Thank you.
so let's get into it. We usually start with a quick prayer, if you guys don't mind.
I love that so much.
Awesome. So, Father, we thank you for tonight. Thank you for this live. Thank you for Amy and Johnny. Thank you for their marriage. Thank you for the conversation that we're about to have tonight. We pray that it blesses people. We pray that marriages are transformed and relationships get better and healthy and godly. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so we all know where you guys met. But for those who do not know, we asked all of our couple this. So how did you guys meet?
Yeah, so we met on Love is Blind. we fell in love over a wall.
Very unorthodox way, but it somehow managed to work out really perfectly.
Yeah, it worked out amazingly. So
Awesome. So a lot of people don't really know like what the time frame is from the moment you guys had your first conversation in the pod and the moment you got married. What was that time frame?
I would say like a month and a
No, I think it was a little longer than that.
Yeah, like a month and a half.
I think it was more than I think it was closer to probably
two.
So, all right. So,
I'm like,
still,
I don't even remember.
a month and a half. It's still very short.
I love that. So
All
I'll put it this way: we met, or we started the process. I think
End
March
of
27th,
Yeah.
and we got married on May 10th.
Okay.
So something like a month and a half.
About a month and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's not long at all, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So one thing we like to do here is for you guys to describe each other's personality. So Amy, you would describe Johnny, and Johnny, you would describe Amy.
I would say Johnny is quirky. He is very chill, laid back, go with the flow. I feel like that would be the best way to describe him.
Awesome. What about you, Johnny?
So I describe her as a similar way, but she also has tendencies to be super just like driven and determined and really just kind of be like a go-getter, know exactly what she wants. I think that's going to be really one of the biggest things. And I think like the big reason when I actually first saw this was back in the pods, or when we actually got back from the Dominican Republic and started living together. She recently got promotion and she was fully invested into basically her job, but she was also fully basically kind of working towards that. And then we weren't like actually in the job, she was fully devoted like to the relationship, and then also towards like filming too. So just really let me see like how like driven and how like really focused she was, and how she didn't want like little things to really sway her like one way or another.
Yeah,
I put my heart into everything I do.
Yeah.
We see it. We saw everything on the show, so we believe it. Now, what do you guys do for fun?
That's a good question. Okay, so
been
I
very
feel like
busy
it can
lately.
go two very different ways.
Mm.
We love just not doing anything and just cooking together and just having a date night in. I feel like we love that so much, but we also love going to the bars. We love traveling and just having fun.
Yeah.
But
I feel like one of the biggest things we like doing a lot is trying out like new restaurants.
that
Ooh.
I think that's
too.
probably the biggest
We're
ones.
such foodies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's been like a big thing around Charlotte. We've been trying to go to like different restaurants like every, like week roughly, and just like try a new place out, like kind of learn about like what kind of food they have,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit about like the chef and like where they've worked at before and what like, inspired them to make like this type of menu. And I think it's like really one of the biggest things that we're able to like do together as far as like a little date and like a fun night out would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And absolutely. And date night, like it's one of the most important like things for us too. We don't miss it. At least like every other week we'll do a date night, trying out new restaurants. When you guys go out though, I'm curious. Is everyone is like, can I take a picture with you? Oh my God, Amy and Johnny in the house.
Yeah. I mean, it's been like that.
Sometimes. I think more recently now it's kind of like weighing down a little bit, but it's definitely really exciting to see. And when people come over, they're always full of like energy and they're just like, they're really excited to see us. And it just kind of like, I don't know, it gets us excited too. And then we're like really happy. Then like, we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. This is like the best time ever. And like, I don't know, it's very like contagious, the energy people bring to us.
I feel like everybody's so kind. And I mean, I always say that meeting people that love our relationship and that know everybody, like everything about us is like, they're like family to us. They're a part of our family now. And it's such an honor to have them and to have their support and love. So it's truly a huge blessing.
Yeah.
So did you both grow up in Charlotte, or one person grew up in Charlotte?
No.
I did for the most part, but I came from Puerto Rico at 5 years old.
And then for me, I was really born and raised in New Jersey. And then I came down to the Carolinas originally for college. So I went to East Carolina. And then afterwards, I moved to Charlotte. And I've been here for I'll say about 6 years-ish. Maybe give or take like a couple months. But I'd say like just around there.
Okay. All right. Great. I'm just kind of looking at some of the comments. A lot of people want to see you guys in Japan. I'm not sure if you've been there, but sounds like you've got a lot of fan base there. So maybe I know you've been traveling a lot lately. So maybe make that as one of your places to go. So where are you guys now? Are you in Charlotte right now?
Yes, we are in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Let's get the questions started. Well, I think Hubby, you had a question about them being in Paris.
Yes, I think I saw a video of you guys. You went to Paris and you were taking a picture on that Eiffel Tower. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How long ago was it?
Yeah, that was mid to end of October of last year.
Okay.
So that trip just has so much depth and story behind it, because I was supposed to go to that trip in March with my family. However, that was kind of a conflict with filming. It was right before filming. It would have just been too much to do both. So I was already set and not even going to France at all. I mean, going to the show at all. And then what happened was that my parents' passports were expiring in May, and we didn't know about France's passport validity rule, which made us cancel our trip last minute, like literally the day before. So,
and basically what that is, just for the people like kind of watching who might not know about it, is if your passport's set to expire roughly 3 months before when you're supposed to be returning back to the US, you're not allowed to even step foot like in France or can't come there.
Yeah. Which could have been so scary, because had we not known, like we could have gone to France and we just would not have been allowed into the country. So thank God we found out literally a day before. And it was because my dad was trying to check it online and wasn't letting him, and that's what happened. So because of that, after that I had gotten on a call with my manager, told her everything, and that's what kind of spiraled me even being able to partake in the experiment. So I obviously go on the experiment, find my husband, and so my family loves Johnny so much. And my dad was like, I wonder if, you know, like Johnny would want to come, and, you know, extended the invite. And that was his first time, like, big trip out of the country.
Yeah.
So it was like a no-brainer. And it was like the most beautiful trip because it was such a bonding family experience with my family and Johnny. And I feel like they already loved him so much, but I feel like that trip just like grew their love for them, and vice versa, I would like to say. But
because I feel like all the other times beforehand I got to actually hang out with Amy's family, it was just for like a dinner or maybe like an afternoon. It was never really anything that was like super long to really get to see, you know, what people are like when things aren't going their way. Like on a trip, if it's raining and you know you have like an Uber cancel, how are you going to react to things like that? Or maybe whenever it's going your way, it's like perfect. How are you going to react to like those types of things too? So it was nice being able to actually be with them for like a solid week in France when like, you know, we really got to see how people acted during certain times. And like, it was a really good bonding experience, just like Amy was mentioning.
I feel like there's a lot of problem solving that comes when traveling. So
we found out the hard way. So 2 years ago, we went to Dubai for our 10th year wedding anniversary.
I love that.
That's on our
also
list.
Congratulations for 10 years.
Oh, thank you. So we had a renewal of vows, and then we had some of our family and friends coming from US. Tell me why some of them got to the airport not knowing the restriction that you just mentioned about the passport expiring within 3 months, and they did not let them come. They didn't let them come. It was like 3 people. It was really painful, but but we found out the hard way. So we tell everybody that's about to travel, we're like, make sure it doesn't have to expire right now, but if it's expiring within 90 days, you need to get it renewed.
Great information.
Everybody in this live, just know.
Yes, 3 months. 3. That's all you got.
Just be very wary.
Yes, exactly. And that brings us to a perfect segue to family. We wanted to talk about family. On the show, Amy, you had a lot of references to family and how important family was to you. And one of my favorite clips of the entire season was when you'd mentioned that if your dad didn't approve, like, first of all, it sounds like your family didn't approve of the experiment. Like, they didn't like the idea of you getting married to a man you just met a month ago. And then you had said that if my dad doesn't approve of this, I don't think I could go on with it. So can you kind of just talk to us about the importance of family and just the approval? Because you're a grown woman. You could have been like, I'm gonna do everything I want to do by myself. So what constitutes to that decision and that mindset?
So overall, growing up, my family was my everything. I feel like there's such a huge cultural aspect there as well, and we just honor and love so hard. At least within my family, we just honor and love so hard. And so when it came to a decision this big, not only are you marrying somebody, but you're marrying the family of somebody else. And I'm not going to, like, in that time, my mindset was, I'm not going to enter a marriage if it's not in the right terms. I want everybody to be on the same page, because to me, marriage is something that's so sacred. And I feel like Johnny was also on the same page, where it's like, you know, if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. And
it's one and done.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's one of those things that in the moment, I genuinely didn't know, because I didn't even think I was going to get to a point where I actually found somebody that I genuinely liked and grew to love in this experiment. And it was 3 weeks where I didn't have my phone and I couldn't tell my family. And I'm just like, I don't know what they're thinking. Like, you know, it's just so many things that was going on in that moment. But I just feel like having the acceptance and approval of my family meant so much, because at the same time, in the future, if there were any problems, I didn't want there to be problems or conflicts because it started off in a bad way, or it started off on the wrong foot. And so that's why it was so important to me, because again, marriage is so sacred, and we just want to do it right.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know from my point of view too, just on like this whole, you know, topic of this too, is I was really scared to go into a situation where if Amy's family didn't approve of this, how was it going to be a month down the line, maybe 2 months down the line, a year down the line too? Because ultimately, just like Amy said, like when you marry someone, you also bring the families in together too. And if something happened where, they didn't like me, this would have been a lot tougher the first year of just basically getting to know Amy, getting to love Amy, just getting to learn more about her. Because like we said, we were engaged and, talking for a month and a half before we were actually married.
Right.
So that was really the big scary part for me is, do I have to just really focus all my time and energy towards just really growing my relationship with Amy? Or do I have to focus a lot more of it on getting to know her family and trying to win them over too if they didn't like me?
Right.
Because I feel like that's a huge thing that a lot of people deal with, that I'm really lucky and really grateful that I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it seems like you have from an outside, maybe you have a special bond with your dad.
Yeah.
And you wanted to
Daddy's girl.
Daddy's girl.
Yes.
Tell us how important that is to have that special connection with your dad.
Yeah, I mean, my dad and I share a very special bond ever since I was little. I mean, he is my guide on this earth, and along with my mom as well. But there's something very special about a father-daughter bond. I feel like he taught me love in how a man should love me, what I should expect from a man. And he really just set the principle and the examples of what I should seek when it came to finding a partner. And I felt like Johnny had all those qualities that I feel like I saw my dad possess and provide to my mom. So I feel like because of that bond, I just honored it again so much. And that's why his approval was so huge to me.
You are saying the perfect words right now, because everything you're saying just resonates so well from a moral perspective, from values, from, even being a Christian, like you don't want to be, out in the world alone without some type of protection and some type of guidance, from our Heavenly Father and also our earthly father. And you've also kind of shed light on the importance of having a father in your life, not only as a human, but specifically as a girl.
Yeah.
I think him building, like we saw him building that confidence, him being there for you every step of the way. And even when you thought he may or may not approve of the process or approve of Johnny, and he goes, give the blessing. And the tears that came after that.
Yeah. Priceless. Yeah. Were you surprised that
I honestly was.
Yeah,
I really was. I didn't know what to expect that day. I was terrified because not only is, somebody that I now love meeting another person that is my everything, but at the same time, this is being recorded. And so I'm just like, I signed up for this experiment, right? But my family didn't sign up for this. Right. And so it was a choice that my dad had that he made because he cares and loves me so much that he was able to partake in this. And I feel like my dad just could tell, like he was testing him. I mean, like the conversation was much longer than what was shown on TV, but I mean, I feel like he was just asking the right questions, and my dad knows how to read people very well. And I just knew, like, there was just something in me that I just knew it would maybe go well, but I still wasn't sure. I was like, maybe it's too soon, like the process is too much, and my dad might not approve of it, just for the logistical side of it all. But I mean, I was honestly shocked when my dad gave that. But that's why I was crying harder than what was shown. I was crying way more. And then he brought my grandpa, who passed away a couple years ago, may he rest in peace, to the conversation too, like honoring him and how he would have honored the union as well. And so I was just bawling. I was so many tears. So
that's amazing. How was that moment for you, Johnny? Just hearing that you finally have the blessing to marry the love of your life.
So that was something that, leading up to it, I tried being like, Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collective. And I really tried being like, no, he's going to say yes. It's going to be perfect. There is going to be absolutely nothing like that's going to be like wrong with it. It's going to be a yes for sure. Like, because I know I'm going to be coming in extremely open, just, being able to say, like, I do love your daughter. Like, I want to be able to honor her. I want to be able to, provide for her and be the husband that she deserves. Right. And leading up to it, I was not Mr. Cool, Calm, Collective. I was Mr. I'm shaking my boots. I have no idea what to expect. I was just about calm and sweaty. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm like trying to like wipe the sweat off my forehead, trying to be all red like I am right now.
And you blush. When you blush, you really blush.
It's pretty bad. Like, I'm not a good poker player, and like you can definitely tell. But it worked out so well too because there was a lot of things that, and we can kind of like rewind this back to like the pods. The reason why like me and Amy like really got along so well, and I feel like really we're at the point of like truly being engaged was because we had a lot of these conversations that were like what ifs. So a lot of it was like, what if this happens? Like, what if for some reason like my dad can't provide like for the rest of my family, and we need to step in as caretakers? Like, will you be able to do that? Or what if XYZ happens where we need to watch my brother for a couple weeks or a couple months? And those are really the what ifs that like realistically might not ever happen, but it's more of a will I be ready to step up for that? And I feel like from those kind of like starter, I guess you can call them like starter questions or starter maybe like examples of like what might happen in the future. Her dad also raised very similar ones like that to kind of match what she gave me in the pods. And I feel like I was a little bit more ready for it then, just like having to answer it because I had been through a couple of these hypotheticals, but a couple really made me like stop and like really consider a lot of things about this. And I think the fact that I had to like really stop and think about it, like during the middle of our conversation, it definitely showed him a lot about the fact that like I'm not just going to jump into something without really thinking about like all the repercussions or all the little things that could happen, or really just what's exactly required from me in order to truly commit to something like this.
Right. Having your community in that process is definitely like essential. Like we're Nigerians, and I don't know if you guys know much about Nigerians. When we get married, our entire village comes with us. It's like a 3-4 days process. Like it's not. It's probably a little too daunting, but the goal is that when you work hard for someone, not only do you value them, more, but you kind of see that they're not alone. They didn't just kind of, just drop from the sky. There's a whole community backing them up. And we were able to see that on both sides. So one thing I wanted to talk about is you guys were named like the healthiest couple on the show. So let's talk about, first of all, for anyone who's just joining, this is the beautiful Amy and Johnny from Love is Blind season 6. If you have not watched the show, you need to go on Netflix as soon as this is done, not right now, as soon as this is done, and go watch it. And I'm telling you, they will be your favorite couple. You'll fall in love with them from the first time you meet them. So let's talk about you guys being the healthiest couple and kind of what happened in the pod and then outside the pod till now. What are some of the things that you feel like people see that makes you healthy, that makes you look healthy and happy? And what do you guys actually do behind the scenes that you feel like you're putting into your marriage to make it healthy and happy?
I feel like one of the things that we do that make us, at least quote unquote, like seem healthy when we look around in public is probably just the fact that like we're very much on the same page and we're very much let's have fun when we're out. Let's not worry about what people think. Let's not worry about if we look stupid or like idiots when we're laughing or joking around about things. But let's just truly be in the moment. Let's actually live like it's just really us in our own little bubble again. And I feel like that's kind of that's probably one of the more like healthy things that we do, at least when like we're out in public, that definitely make people think that, we are like in a healthy relationship. Is just that we don't really care what other people think about us or like how we might come off. If it's, not the coolest or like the most suave, it's just, we're having fun, we're laughing, we're really enjoying each other's company, and we're having a blast while we're doing it.
Yeah, we're in our bubble. And I feel like what's happening behind the scenes for that, and that can also be shown on the show, is the communication that we have with one another and the healthy communication that happens between one another, because we're two different individuals and we're not always going to agree, we're not always going to be on the same page or see this something in a similar light, but because we try to understand one another, we try to be intentional, that is what makes it a really good, healthy communication. And I feel like it helps us understand one another clearer and provide more to the relationship. So I feel like that would be like what we do behind the scenes to make that happen.
The other thing too, and this might be more of just like internally how like I think, or maybe how like me and Amy think too, is I like to see the relationship in like 3 different parts. So basically having it be, okay, what do I as Johnny want? What does Amy as Amy?
It's nothing because you did this.
That's interesting.
But what does Amy as Amy want? And then what do we want as a couple together? Yeah. And basically being able to maybe put aside what I want for the time being and maybe put aside what Amy wants for the time being to get to basically what we want as a couple together to be and actually have. Or vice versa, where it's like, hey, Amy really wants this. Maybe I'll put aside something I really want to make sure she... Why does it keep doing that? It's really agreeing right now.
It's really agreeing with you.
Or vice versa too.
You are saying the right thing.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm
saying the right thing. Instagram agrees with you. The algorithm agrees with you.
That's awesome. And I think that's essential in marriage, to not only look at your happiness, but your spouse's happiness and also your joint happiness together. I think is essential.
Yeah, and I call it inclusive decision.
I like that.
So when you are making a decision, you want it to be inclusive of your partner. What are their ideas and opinions? So you can make a collaborative decision that included everyone's views.
And it's so important because I feel like when 2 people get married, I feel like a lot of individuality can be lost. And so really kind of like understanding the other person and what they value. For example, for me, I love traveling. And that's something that Johnny had not been exposed to as much. And now it's like he wants to do the same thing. And and like that's just where the compromise comes in.
Right.
So it's just, a lot of that, and it all comes down to communication and the important conversations that are being had.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of disagreements, because healthy marriages have disagreements, it's how you handle it and how you manage it and not lingering on it for too long. Last week, actually last Friday, the couple that we talked to on our weekly IG Live, we talked about conflict resolution and how to, manage it in a very healthy and healthy way. So one big disagreement that we saw on the show was birth controls. You guys knew this was coming.
So we were
It
was actually 24/7.
You guys knew this question was coming because we are dying to know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, so did Johnny not know? But we're not coming from that perspective. You can't expect everyone to know every single thing in this world, right? And there's moments of growth.
Yeah.
Johnny's face dropped. Someone said your face dropped.
Just like when I saw Amy for the first time.
Oh.
Maybe a different light.
How about you ask Jonathan, man to man?
I really want to know what has been the biggest lesson and growth that you've had since that situation of birth control.
I think really the biggest thing is that, originally, just like speaking, I feel like I was very much thinking and like worrying about things that I can control and things that I can do just as an individual. And that's really what I brought to like relationships. And that's what I just brought to things in general was, if I can control this, then I can worry about this, then I can do this. And I feel like a lot of things about birth control it was very women focused. Obviously, yes, guys can wear condoms, guys can get vasectomies, guys can do, the newer types of kind of clinical trials for, birth control like via pills. But I really just kind of worry about from that front. I really didn't know anything about the actual, the pill that women can take or other really kind of methods because I couldn't really control it myself. So I figured that I might not as well worry about things like that. And I think that was really the biggest thing that I had to learn from this conversation was, okay, well, now it's not just like me focused, now it's us focused. Yeah. And let's actually focus on the fact that if you don't want to do this because it affects your body in a negative way, how are we going to really how are we going to basically find a good way around this? That's not going to be affecting either one of us in a negative light. And that's not going to make one of us, resent the other one because the other one's saying something or doing something that, you ultimately don't want to do.
Right.
I think that's probably the biggest thing in like that light is just let's find like a big alternative around this.
Yeah.
So how were you able to solve that and come to a medium? And I'm asking not just for both of you,
Yeah.
but also for the audience, because they may be experiencing such in their relationship, or it may not even be in the same situation, but there is this tug of war between partners and they're trying to figure out how do we make such decision when there is difference of opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is obviously first have the open conversations and really make sure it's being vocal that, you know, if you're a woman who's on birth control who doesn't like how it's affecting her body, mention it. Say it to their boyfriend, their significant other, just so they understand exactly what's going on. Because I feel like that's the biggest thing that guys really understand is we don't understand it if it's not happening to us directly. So if you vocalize it, then we will start listening, actually taking the steps of like actually getting educated around topics like this. I think that's going to be kind of like the first thing. After that, it's getting educated, learning about alternatives, really finding out when women can and cannot get pregnant, and then finding like an alternative to that. For us, we did kind of more like a natural route, and we used kind of like I don't know, it's kind of getting like a little more to like in the weeds with this, but like it's kind of a combination of just planning, timing, and then also just using condoms too. But there's always different alternatives around it. It doesn't have to be very just like cut and dry, like, hey, take this pill, or hey, I do this, or something else like that. We can find an alternative like workaround.
Yeah.
But it really comes to, number one, having the conversations first. I'm trying to like also, I just put my fingers up. I didn't want to put the like emoji back up to his face.
Right.
But just number one, like have the conversations, and number two, getting educated.
Right.
I think that's like the biggest things.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like this whole conversation kind of stemmed because we both came from polar opposite backgrounds where I had never been on birth control and then he had never been with somebody that wasn't on birth control. So just like he said, it's so important as a woman like to vocalize and do what is best for you and your body, not for your partner. I feel like we know ourselves the best, and I feel like by doing yourself the favor of, you know, nourishing yourself and doing what's best for you, you're going to nourish the relationship. And also, like he said, the men also educating themselves and learning. And I mean, us as women also, like, I've learned so much too. So it's just like really having those open, honest, raw conversations where you say everything that you want to say, the other person says everything that they want to say, see how you can meet in the middle, and then educate yourselves together. And that's just the best way to go about it.
And then for these conversations too, you need to have this over the course of multiple hours, multiple days, multiple nights. Do it.
That's fine.
Because that's the best thing is just, hey, come to like an even ground at the end of like the night, or like however you guys want to end it for maybe that like session of discussing this. And then come back the next day when you learned a little bit more about this.
Exactly.
Because I know that's what we did about a couple different things. And, you know, during day one of this discussion, it was, I don't know what to do. During day two, it's, hey, I think I found these couple methods. What do you think about these?
Right.
Oh, no? Okay, cool. Let me go back and do some more research. Amy does the same thing. We come back, you know, day 3, day 4. And that's when we really decided, okay, well, let's actually go on this route and see how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And well for us.
Right.
Yeah, I think when it comes to problem resolution, you know, it's just one of those things that you have to take it sometimes slowly. Sometimes I feel like as people, we just get anxious and we just want to resolve it then and there. And sometimes we can't. There's not always going to be an immediate resolution, and that's also okay. And so it's one of those things that it's just take it a step at a time, actively and intentionally work towards the goal that you want together, and that's really all that matters.
You guys are just you're like the model of like the most healthy and just happy and godly marriage. Like, we're learning so much, and it sounds from the comments, it sounds like a lot of people are really taking some good points from what you guys are talking about tonight. So thank you so much for shedding light on that. And I think everything that you're saying also kind of gives grace to the other person. Don't just assume that they know, or they just been like ignorant, or they've been selfish. I think just really extending that arm of grace and patience, and really willing to talk it out and say, this is where I stand. This is how you know, even if they said something, this is how it makes me feel. This is why I'm making this decision, because everything that we do, there is a reason why we do it. So giving your partner the grace to be able to express why or why not they're doing certain things, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. And I feel like when saying that too, in regards to the birth control conversation, I feel like a lot of women were so quick to judge Johnny and just kind of like bash him for not being educated. And in a sense, as a woman, we've dealt with so much in the past and just history when it comes to our bodies. So in a sense, I kind of understand, but at the same time, when we shame other people, we can prevent those people from evolving and learning because they're ashamed to do it. And so I feel like saying like, hey, calling a person out on their lack of education is okay, but being respectful and, you know, actually helping them learn and you know, hold their hand along the way is what's so important, especially again in terms of a relationship. Having that healthy communication and not shaming, having grace for the other person and actually trying to understand them and put yourself in their shoes. That's really all that matters.
Exactly. And that's what marriage is all about. Like, I hear you, you hear me, and we meet in the middle. Exactly. It's not always perfect, and you're two different people that met and got married within a year. I mean, within a month or 2 months. I was gonna give you extra 10 months there, but
I appreciate that. That's good.
Right. So you won't just expect them to be on the same page as you 100%. So watching how you guys just resolved disagreements, I won't call them conflicts, but disagreements, and just giving each other grace and being patient with one another is something that we really appreciate in your marriage. Speaking of birth control, one of the things, Amy, that we saw at your bachelorette night, that also exemplifies godly marriage or relationship, is you had made a comment that you waited or you're gonna wait until after marriage to consummate your relationship. And I thought that was amazing because, I mean, obviously we're not gonna dig in of how, like, virginity or things like that, but we really, it was really truly beautiful to see on TV. And like, that's something I could show my daughter, that a woman can wait. Like, if you choose to wait, and it's God's way to wait. I'm not really sure why you waited, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. But just having someone with class and dignity and self-respect, and I'm not saying all of those things equal, you know, self-respect and dignity, but just saying, you know, I have some discipline to say I'm gonna wait, and I will, and that's what I choose to do, was very beautiful to see. So can you kind of shed some light on, like, what made you make that decision?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a fast-paced process to start off with, that at the same time, it's just like we wanted to make sure that we could get to the wedding day and just be 1000% positive that we were the one for another. And that, just like you mentioned about, you know, your kids watching in the future, that would be a beautiful way to also set an example. So I feel like it's just, you know, a part of the values that we have. And so it was just a no-brainer.
And I think, sorry, and I'm not trying to speak for you two at all, Amy, but I really feel like another big component of this too is just really getting to know each other well during this whole process. Because I feel like a lot of times, maybe during like previous seasons too, people try to rush things, people jump to conclusions saying, oh, I'm so ready to be married, when they're in the pods, and then it doesn't work out for whatever reason. And I feel like a big thing with us is that we really just wanted to get to know each other truly, and have those temperature checks to say, okay, well, how do we feel right now? Do we feel like we are officially, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, if we were on the outside world of this? Do we actually feel like we're a truly engaged couple right now? Do we truly feel like we're ready to actually be married to each other, and this is actually going to be a long-lasting relationship? Or is it just, you know, the adrenaline from the show? And really kind of figuring out, like, where the show started and where the show stopped, and where our relationship started and where that stopped. And I feel like that was like a really good way of just kind of deciding that what's going to be the most important thing to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How were you able to decide that you are meant for each other? Because you didn't go through the traditional dating phase.
That was a really good one.
People. So in a few weeks, how were you able to be sure that Johnny is the right man for you and Amy is the right woman for you?
I feel like we might have two different answers
We will
based
have
on
two different answers.
But I will say that the reason why I knew is because, as corny as it sounds, you just know when you know. And there were so many signs from God, I just know, that just made it certain in my heart that he was the one. I made like a 20, like not 20 part, but like there were like 20 reasons of how I knew he was the one. And I made like a long TikTok about it. But so I can't say everything here because it would just take up so much time. But like, for example, one of them that was shown was the fact that my dad had that dream of my future kids. And the reason why that dream stuck with me so much is because intuitively, I just sometimes know certain things. I feel like I might have a gift. I'm not quite sure, but I feel like I've had other experiences where I've felt things and they've come true. And so I've always known, I felt like I've known, we'll see in a few years, but I felt like I've known the order of my kids, the sex that they will be, and the age gap that they will be. I just never like had a thought of like what they would look like, but I just knew kind of, what that would look like. So when my dad had that dream, it stood out to me because he described it exactly how I always felt like it would be. So I thought it was interesting that, they would be, kind of blondish, brownish hair because, it was just at the time, that's not the typical guy I would go for. And so when I see Johnny for the first time, that's the first thing I see.
Hair waving in the
that's
wind.
the first thing I think of.
Perfect description.
Yeah, literally. And it's just like curly, like just like mine. And I feel like the way that my dad described it is that they had curly hair too. And so I'm just like now picturing in the future, I feel like that's how it would be. So, that was just one of the many reasons. The trip not happening, the fact that we were supposed to go to France. I was also supposed to go to Japan in April. And that was also during filming time. There were so many things that were kind of in the way. And it's just like God just did this and just opened up the path for me. And that is when I felt like even embarking into the experience, I felt like there's no way that I'll find somebody. There's just no way. But because of how everything seamlessly opened up for me, I just felt like I feel like I could find my person here. I really do think that. And so that and so many other reasons that I just won't ramble on about, I feel like I just knew, because I like to think, especially since we're talking about God here, I feel like God communicates through us and he communicates to us in so many ways. And sometimes we just have to, turn that switch and listen. And when we really listen and we take that in, that's when things start connecting and the pieces start, really
falling into place.
Exactly. And so I feel like that's exactly what I experienced in this experiment. And that's just how I knew. I just knew that he was the one. I was like, that's easy. Like, it's a no-brainer for me. And just obviously his character and morals and just how good of a human he is and how well we meshed together. It was
and his soul.
His soul. Like, there's something about that soul.
Little guy right here.
I love as you walk down the aisle and you're just like, I love your soul. I love your soul. I'm like, yes.
I didn't know what to say. I was so nervous. I'm like, that's the only thing that I'm just like, I just love you so much. I can't put words. Like, I just love your soul.
Yes, that's perfect.
Goodness. That was awesome. So it's the connection with God and you being attentive to that direction, the leading of the Holy Spirit. That's awesome. And the dream that your dad had. So that's good. What about you, Johnny?
So it's a little bit no. So I'm just like, you gotta say it. You just always
it just knows. Like,
it knows what happens to be good. No, but so for me, it was a little bit differently. So there were some signs that were like, that kind of just like just similar to Amy, that like kind of popped up that showed me I was in the right place. I didn't know exactly when the right moment was when I was like, this is the one for me. Because when we were in the pods, one of the biggest things that happened was, I think it was, so basically you're like dating for roughly 8 days. Or sorry, yeah, date for 8 days. The 9th day is the proposal day, and the 10th day is like the reveal. So it's like 10 days in total of getting to know someone before you're actually engaged to them. I think it was day 4 was when basically me and Amy were like, hey, I don't really want to see anybody else. I just want to talk to you. And so even get to that point of like actually being engaged. Because I really, I like you. I feel like on the outside world, we'd be like a dating couple. Like I would definitely ask you to be my girlfriend. And then that'd really be it right there.
Yeah.
The next couple of days really focused on building that connection, asking tough questions, and really trying to figure out who we were as individuals, who we were going to be as a couple in order to get to that like engaged point. And I remember it was day 8 towards the end of like I think it was probably like a 4 or like a 5 hour long date. And I remember telling Amy, and I was like, hey, I honestly, like, I don't know if we're really ready to be engaged right now. I think that we are really good as boyfriend, girlfriend. I said I love you, but I don't know if we're really ready to make that jump yet. And I really hope you don't like, just like hate me for this, but I want to like just be open and honest with you. And Amy was like, no, like that's okay. Like I feel kind of the same way. Like it is going to be a jump, but that's really where we're at right now. So basically we ended that day of me not knowing if I was going to propose to her the following day on my proposal day. Thank God Amy didn't run away and leave because it would have been really bad. But the next day, I remember I woke up and I was just super determined. I was like, yes, I'm going to propose to her and that's it. And she's going to say yes and that's it. Mm-hmm. And, we're going to be engaged. Maybe not happily ever after quite yet. I didn't get to past that like point. Yeah. But I was definitely on like one of maybe like the summits of like a couple different like, mountain series kind of thing. Yeah. Really get my outdoorsiness into this. But it was just like one of those things where like I knew I was going to propose to her and that was going to be it. Yeah. Then we got to the DR. I had a little bit of hesitations and a little bit of like worries. We had conversations both like on and off film that they really didn't show. Yeah. And I would say probably a week after we got back to Charlotte and started living together, I had a call with my now brother-in-law, Cam, who was actually the officiant at our wedding. Oh, nice. And he kind of gave me like a little like, basically like the pep talk I needed to just go from, I have a little bit of like reserves about this. I don't really know. Is this really the best decision? Like I know we really like each other. We love each other, but like, are we really ready to get married? Right. And essentially he was just like, you see how happy you are together. You see how, not miserable you were by yourself, but like, you see how you were by yourself. You see how you were with her. Why not take that jump and see how happy you can be together? And honestly, I was like, the one thing I was like so happy about, because if he didn't tell me that, things might have been very different. Right. But it really made me fully embrace the relationship and really say, hey, I'm ready to get married on this date. Let's do it. And it was perfect after that.
I'll also say I feel like there is such, like, when doing this experiment, there is so much fear, especially when you actually find somebody that you really, really like and love. And it's just like, dang, you don't want to mess anything up. Like, you actually want to make sure that you are going about everything so carefully. Yeah. And I feel like that's the mindset that we had when we had the realization that, wow, we do have feelings for one another. He slipped out the I love you. I did feel the same way for him. And it was just like, okay, so we have strong feelings for one another. We don't want to rush something so hard that it doesn't work. Right. But I feel like we just kind of knew that it was for us. And I feel like for him, that conversation was such a confirmation.
It was a pivoting moment. Like, it was, I wasn't going to like say no before the conversation, but I was definitely leaning more towards the, I'm unsure. Yeah. I really need more time to process this. And the date coming up in 3 weeks is very scary to me. Yeah. I'm ready. Like, let's do this. It's going to be great. Like, I'm excited for this. Like, there's nothing that can tear me down. Like, if we have any type of disagreements, we're going to work through them like we did before. Right.
Yeah, and I feel like Cam was such a great role model too as a man. I feel like we already just live in a generation where everybody, both men and women, are very scared of commitment. So when you're put in this situation, which is like a pressure cooker, and you're like potentially going to get married super fast, that fear of commitment raises, especially when you genuinely develop feelings for one another. You don't want it to break. Right. So I feel like it was such a huge pivotal moment and such a good example of his relationship with his sister and how beautiful it can be when two souls that are truly meant to be together unite. Right. So, yeah.
That's interesting. You said something earlier about Johnny that you didn't make a decision based on what the future would look like, in the sense of you didn't have no clue about happily ever after, right? And I think men who kind of hesitate on making that long-term decision is what they are looking for. How do I know that I'm going to be with this person forever? So how can you speak to those men that can you really see 20 years from now?
So I'm actually really happy you brought this up, because I was literally that person who was like, well, what about 10 years down the line? Like, when we have to buy a house, are we really going to be ready for this? Or what happens when we have kids? Are we going to be ready for this too? And it's like, I know how we are right now, and I really, really love it. And it's weird to say, because I was so, I don't want to say against it before, but just like such in like a fixated mindset where I was like, this can't be enough. But now I'm like, this is enough. It's good to be able to obviously have a plan for the future and want to accomplish many things as an individual and as a couple. But I really think that looking at it, are you waking up every day happy? Are you going to sleep every night smiling? Are you, during the day excited to go back and see, with that smile on your face? I see you. I'm not trying to hype you up. But like, are you excited to like see her when you come back home from work, or are you not? And I feel like that's like a big indicator of, is it truly meant to be, or are you together to, like, I feel like the most like common thing is like to like avoid like loneliness.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you really together because you truly love each other and you value each other, and like if you guys do get married, it's gonna like last forever, or is it just to avoid loneliness right in like today's day and age?
Right. Yeah. And I think owning on the fact that God put us together is enough assurance to say, you know what, this is going to last, because nobody knows tomorrow. Right? Yeah. We don't know what 20 years from now is going to look like, but we can only hope and pray that all is well, just based on God's promises. But like you said, based on today, am I happy seeing this person? Do I enjoy being in their presence? And I think ultimately, are they a kind human being? Are they gracious? Are they humble? Are they like all these things? And I think at the end of the day, if those boxes are checked, then I think it's safe to move forward. So in interest of time, there's just one other question that we wanted to talk to you guys about. So you were together for 2 months, and then you're getting married. Do you now just like put all your finances together? I know you guys like moved in shortly after getting married, not like immediately like some traditional, weddings will you plan probably even in advance to move into your husband's house like the night, or your joint house the night you get married. So how was it for you guys, but specifically around the finances? Like, how was it like being transparent with where things are, if you guys had debts and things like that? How do you kind of just make it all work out?
Yeah, I love that question, because I feel like finances are such a huge part of a relationship. But I was basically living at his place right after, basically right before wrapping up, I was at his place. Okay. I did not like my apartment complex at all.
It sounded like a Cat in the Hat book with something.
Okay, stop. Anyways, it was not the best. So I feel like with that, when his lease ended, he was like, because the original plan, which I don't know if it was shown in the show or not, was I was going to stay at my place until March of
2024.
This year.
Okay.
This year.
So last month.
And we would have been living separately. And then it's like we got married and I'm like, that I don't want to be separate from my husband.
Right.
So yeah, exactly. So I was basically living at his place the whole time, and then this lovely gentleman paid to break the lease early ahead of time because that was just not the, you know, I wasn't living at my apartment, so it was just kind of a waste of money there in terms of rent. And so we were trying to find a house in the meantime. I feel like the timeline was just so fast that we didn't find something by the time that his lease ended. So we moved in together into another apartment. And then in terms of finances in the beginning, I feel like it's like we're still so fresh to all of this that I feel like in the very, very beginning, we were still kind of like, you know.
We did kind of keep it like separate.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things that I want to mention is that I know I am a huge proponent of let's vocalize everything around finances.
Yeah.
Let's make sure there isn't like a stigma around like, oh, I'm insecure about this or I don't like this. Like, let's make sure that this is like an open conversation. Like, hey, I'm making X amount of money. I have X amount of dollars in debt that goes away each month. Because I feel like so many people think about like finances like an insecurity, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be the thing that, you know, you might not be proud about what you're making or how much you're bringing in or like how much debt you have because of whatever reason, but still something that you should be addressing and bring to the forefront of like different conversations.
Yeah. So I feel like we just kind of had those, and those are conversations that are ever evolving because there's always going to be, you know, new goals that we want to acquire and that, you know, we both kind of have to join forces. I feel like, again, in the beginning, especially in this economy, we both had to, you know, work hard together to get to what we wanted and where we wanted to be. But I feel like, for example, now I'm not working, so Johnny's putting a lot of weight, and he does so much for the both of us and for our little family with our doggo too. So he has definitely been putting in all that weight and, you know, taking into that provider role as well. And so I feel like he's been doing an incredible job at that. And so, you know, it's just one of those things that we're kind of like learning as we go and just shifting depending on the life changes that we have. Obviously, right now we're in a very unique opportunity or experience where there's different opportunities coming in. So, you know, we're enjoying that. But we know that that's not going to last forever. So, you know, trying to be very mindful of what we have in the moment, but how we can plan about in the future, especially when it comes to our goals, because the next goal that we have is getting a house. Woo! So, you know, that's like a huge thing when it comes to finances. So it's just, you know, again, an ever evolving conversation.
That's awesome. We wanted to talk to you guys about like what the next steps are. You just mentioned buying a house. Are you guys planning on having a bigger family? I know you have a dog right now. But are there children in the future someday? I know you had your dad had
out there. In the farthest near future we can.
Listen, we want to travel as much as we can and really enjoy our marriage because we got married in such a fast process that we really just want to, you know, soak it all in and experience all these things together. But definitely, like, I mean, there's also a biological time clock. So, you know, I feel like in 3 to 4 years, that's when we'll kind of start, you know, seeing if there's something there that we could.
But when it comes down to it, I know that I come from a very big family. Amy comes from a very big family too. We ultimately would love to have a very big family. That being said, we need to make sure that number one, the time clock, all that good stuff is still working. Otherwise, it's going to be, hey, let's adopt. Make sure we're doing that. But also, like the finance aspect of it too is like, you know, can we actually afford to raise a family of 4 kids, of 5 kids, of 3 kids? Like, what does it actually look like? And really trying to like plan that out too. And really just making sure that like we're actually doing well and like we're giving them like the lives that, you know, we didn't have growing up. I think that's like the biggest thing.
And just adjusting with the times because I feel like things are just changing constantly in the world around us. And it's scary out there. So it's just one of those things that's just kind of like going with the flow of what God wants. At the end of the day, if we're meant to have kids and when we're meant to have them, it'll happen. But right now we're just taking all the measures not to have kids right now.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We are taking all the luck that we can possibly get.
Good. I really just love how grounded you guys are and your roots and your values and God. It's so beautiful. So I saw some questions pop up. Fans want to know, I don't know why, but they want to know, Johnny, how you keep your hair to the back like that. And then
stays back like that. Gravity.
Right.
No, I have no idea. I know that when it started growing out, I just always kind of like pushed it back.
Yeah.
Then my new barber / hairstylist person is like, you should try to put it to the side like this more, so it's like a middle part. I don't really know, but no, it just kind of like always stays back there.
Yeah.
And
it's
then,
just the 2-finger thing. You just
just
that's it. That's the magic.
And then just a little bit of mousse and a lot of love and care.
Oh.
It's so easy for men. I
tell you,
wish it was
I
that
can
easy.
relate. I just can't do this. It won't work. It won't work. But you guys said there's a lot of travels planned for you, and I know when we were talking earlier this afternoon, there's a lot going on. So speaking of travel, we just wanted to quickly mention that we have a great marriage retreat coming up this June 21st to 24th. Amy and Johnny may or may not be there. You have to come to find out. So we hope to see you guys there. It is on our page, or you can go to gfemspeaks.com/retreats. We're going to Jamaica, Ocho Rios. It is a 5-star luxury resort. It's beautiful. And we're going to have just amazing couples such as Amy and Johnny. Like I said, you have to come to find out if they're going to be there or not. But yes, we truly are looking forward to having you guys there. We'll if you go on our page, you'll see the link there. And we are, Ocho Rios is absolutely gorgeous, and we can't wait to see you guys there. So last question, what do you guys speak Spanish at home? Or is Johnny trying to learn? Because I know he's going to be around your family a lot. You were just around her family this past weekend.
Yeah, and the thing is that they'll be more strict with it, because my mom will be like, okay, repeat after me. Like, what did I just say?
Or what happened is her mom will just start speaking Spanish to me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying.
Right.
Like, you have to like speak slowly, give me context clues, like maybe like hold up this and say like water, and then like I'm like, oh, but instead she just kind of goes and starts like rattling off in Spanish.
She
I'm
goes
just like
straight into it.
and it just like I'm like, yes,
He's a bit lost.
Sure,
He
Mom.
goes over to my house because I have a big household, so it's not just my dad and my mom and my brother, but it's also my grandma and her 2 sisters and their brother that lives with my family. So
and they all speak Spanish,
except
like, primarily.
Except my brother speaks only English. My dad speaks both, and my mom speaks a little bit of English too. So it's just, but for the most part, the majority of the family doesn't. So
it's more of like the immersion, like kind of therapy or like exposure to it. And I'm just really getting like I just dove into like the deep end every time I do that.
Was it a huge culture shock for you, Johnny? Were you like, oh my God, I didn't realize this much Spanish going on here?
So, like, I don't know. So, like, I grew up and like a lot of my friends were Ecuadorian or Costa Rican, and going to their houses, it was similar to that, where like basically they just spoke Spanish. I didn't really pick up too much on it, but I didn't really pay attention to it. So it wasn't like a huge like culture shock for me. But then when it's, okay, now I need to actually like build relationships with everyone. How do we get past this? And that's where it got a little bit tougher and like a little bit trickier, because I can only, kind of like mime things so much. And it just gets a little bit tougher that way.
Yeah. No, I have hope in him. And I feel like, just like, he mentioned, he always grew up around different cultures, and that's why I feel like it wasn't much of a culture shock, and that's also why I went for him, because I was like, oh, so how other cultures go about certain things, you know what I mean? You're not close-minded, you're not ignorant about
I might have been exposed to Puerto Rican per se, but I was definitely exposed to Ecuadorian, Costa Rican, Filipino, like a lot of other different I guess kind of groups. groups. I
Yeah.
guess we can say in like the nicest way.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like that's just, you know, he kind of immersed himself, and so it wasn't that big of a culture shock, and he's so like embracing and always wants to learn, and I think that's where that I mean, it's just so important.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to a multicultural relationship. And so yeah, no, I feel like in terms of speaking Spanish though, he'll pick it up one day. I feel like he definitely wants to learn and take classes, but right now there's just so many other things that we need to focus on. So I'm so sorry to everybody. Like, I feel like I've been a disgrace.
Johnny,
but
someone said you
promise
better
we will
learn
teach it.
because your kids will talk about you in Spanish and
That
you don't
is-
know what they're saying.
That is primarily the reason I want to
And I
know
know they will.
is because I know my kids are going to talk smack about me and be like, oh, Daddy doesn't know.
So get to learning, but we are so grateful to have you guys tonight. You guys are so warm and just perfect. We absolutely love you guys. Thank you for shedding some light on happy, healthy, and godly marriages. We pray that God continue to bless your marriages. A lot of people are saying we need to bring you guys back, so we will. We have to coordinate that.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much. Is there anything you want to say to the guests tonight?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being a part of this and for supporting both of us.
Yes.
And by both of us, yes, both of us, but like both of us.
Yeah, the two.
Because all four of us, because it really does mean a lot. And yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch and, you know, be a part of our relationship.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
We're rooting for you guys, and so is everyone on here. So love you guys.
Love
you later.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much again. We will see you
Take
later.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
So, if you guys want to drop, that's fine. For those of you that are still here, I know we talked about, well, thank you for staying and thank you for watching. We really appreciate this. I hope you guys gain one or two things that you could apply to your relationship, your dating stage, your marriage right now, and just continue to grow, because we don't know everything, and don't always assume that the person you are dating or about to date will know everything about your sexuality, your body. So always be open to talk and engage and have that conversation. Like my wife said earlier, some of you actually don't even know us, right? I think we should spend 10 or 15 seconds introducing ourselves to you.
I'm Dr. Bola, and this is my handsome husband, Dr. Femi.
Yes. And we love to share godly marriages, support that, and give a lot of information and ideas on how you can thrive in your relationship so that you can both be satisfied and successful. And we have this amazing retreat coming up in June 21 to 24, so that we can pour more into your relationship. And it's going to be in Ocho Rios, Jamaica. It's 4 days, 3 nights at a lovely 5-star all-inclusive resort. So food, drinks, everything all
covered. Leave your wallets at home.
Transportation covered. The only thing that is not covered is your flight. But here is what we are doing. Just for those of you that are watching now, right? We have a huge discount for you. We have a huge discount for you that you can apply tonight. You have to apply it tonight. And the discount is, the code is NRED, NRED. So what you have to do is go to the site, gfmspeaks.com/retreats. And my wife is putting it up on the comment section. And she's going to pin that, gfmspeaks.com/retreats. Or you can easily go to our page, our Instagram page, which is Doctors Femi and Bola. So you can go directly and put in that code NRED, NRED, and it will give you a great discount. But it's only for tonight. As a matter of fact, we extend it for 24 hours. So make that decision. Come enjoy time in Jamaica with your friend, with your partner. Pour into your relationship, because that's the only way you can grow your relationship. And can make it fun. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. We love you. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Cheers to your improvement.